That's what I meant. That's
Right.
what I meant. 50%.
So let me just close.
Can I?
You're recognized.
Okay. I just do have a couple questions, Commissioner Sarnoff, so that I have clarity on. There's a few things on this sheet and a few statements that you made that I want to just have clarity on. The first one on the sheet, when I look across the sheet, the thing that pops out for me the most is background check. As you start going down the whole list, that was one of the items that you skipped over. So can you tell me what does that mean when you say background check?
Sure, you see if you're dealing with what are the backgrounds of the mural people you're dealing with.
Okay. Just give me an example. What do you
Well,
mean?
do they have felonies? Are they convicted felons? Are they, things like that?
So if they're convicted felons and turn their life around, I just want to be clear, and they have a successful company, then we should not be dealing with them.
No, I think you should know about it. I'm not saying that's a decision that could be made
I just wanted to
at an
understand
administrative level.
I didn't understand how that dealt with it, but you've answered the question. I just wanted to be clear. Then I wanted to ask you this other question. You mentioned something about $6 million that you guys have been working on, putting together a whole outline of, cases that have been either closed or open, and what your research has found is $6 million, which could be floating out there when actually the city has found $2.4 million. So my question becomes for the administration, really, is how are we so far off? Like, how do we miss $4 million?
Lack of enforcement.
Oh, so
lack of enforcement.
Okay, I just want to ask, Mr. Manager, how are we so off of? I mean, $4 million is a big hole.
That we're not off. Period. It's an allegation that we're off. It will have to be proven, and there may be a lot of speculation as of that.
Correct.
Total fines is 2.4.
I just want to be clear. I was just.
Oh, you can only speak one at a time. You heard it from the city clerk.
No problem. So I'm sorry. Excuse me, Commissioner Sarnoff, but let me just get clarity. So it is an allegation that it's for additional $4 million.
Right. Personally, I had not heard that before. It's something that will have to be proven. It may be speculative. I don't know. The total fines that we have imposed through code enforcement is 2.4 million, and we have collected $1,466,000.
Okay, so Commissioner Sarnoff, the $4 million, do you have a your staff and your team was working on that. Do you have a breakdown of that $4 million?
No, we don't have a breakdown. What we did was we took all the murals, and we did it 35, we've counted 35 illegal murals.
Okay.
If you just average what the city's been fining them, which is between $150 and $250 a day. If you simply figure that out, that's $70,000 to $90,000 per year. Number of years, 3 years, it's $6 million. What I was saying to you, probably in a very inartful way, is that we have not been enforcing against these murals. And when we do enforce, Commissioner, we give them what I call a 29-day de facto permit. We give them a notice of violation, and here's what you know. Here's why you get to go back to Boston, you get to go back to Indiana comfortably and say, well, I know I got 29 days to take down that mural. You take down the mural, you leave it down for 2 weeks, and what do you do then? You put up another one. And what do you get after that? Another 30-day notice of violation.
If I can, just, before the whole hearing is over, if I can actually I'd like to see it along with my staff, how you guys came up with those numbers. And then I have 2 more questions, and that would be it for me. The other one was, and this might be a P question. Again, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other whether or not it's on government buildings or not, but I do want to have some clarity. If, let's say, our MRC building, for instance, that is downtown Miami, if someone wanted to put a mural up on that building, would that still have to come in front of the city commission, or the city commission could make that decision or choice? Has to approve that.
There would have to be a lease with a company that would be approved by the city commission.
So in other words, I just want to be clear, not even just in the county, but any government-owned building, the county would have to do the same thing, correct?
That's right.
So in other words, regardless of whether or not, we agree on this particular ordinance, it still would have to go in front of those legislative bodies to approve as to whether or not those murals go in those buildings, correct?
You're totally correct.
Okay, so there would be some extra step before that we'd have like a whole bunch of buildings downtown with murals on them, correct?
There can be no indiscriminate installation of murals on a governmental building unless the government entity, the city, the county, was approved.
Okay,
well, the city, understand, Commissioner, there's the city, There's the county, there's the state, and there's the feds.
Right.
We don't control any of those three entities.
Right, but do they have a, I know the county has the same thing that we have, but Mr. Manager, does the state and the federal government have, do they have a process in which they have to go through in order to have those things approved?
I'm not familiar with their process, but obviously
I would like to have that.
the state of the feds would have to approve it at some level.
Okay.
It's their building.
All right, so I just want.
The owner of the building, whether it's private or governmental, will have to approve it.
Okay, and then my last question, and I just want to, okay, no problem. I just want to be clear on it. I mean, I think it's been, first of all, I want to commend you, Commissioner Sarnoff, for taking out the time to really sit down and do a comparison. I mean, this shows that you have a true commitment to making sure that, you know, we put a mural ordinance in place that makes sense for the whole entire city. I definitely agree with you on, I have an issue personally with them going all the way down Biscayne Boulevard. I think that to have murals all lined up down Biscayne Boulevard is just, maybe the county thinks that's a great idea, but I think it's a horrible idea. I'm glad to hear that you're open to Commissioner Gonzalez having it in his area by the hospitals. I think that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're open that it should happen around the design district area, because that's an area that I think needs to be highlighted. So, and I'm hearing that you don't have an issue with the, you know, the downtown area and certain. So I'm totally fine with that. I just wanted to understand, or just have some clarity on, if the county has already voted and approved, correct? Did they vote and approve this pilot-based project already?
No.
They're the enabling legislation. They control whether we can have murals, but we have to put a framework of rules and regulations in place.
So
this is our framework.
So they have voted for some sort of mural pilot project.
Commissioner, if I may, the county, through a modification to their code, has carved out a section in which we can then regulate the installation of murals.
So we can then take that, what they've framed or proposed, and we can carve out what we think makes sense for us.
Oh, within their geographic zone, within the zone that they have allowed, you can have a smaller zone, as long as you don't go beyond the boundaries that they set.
Okay. So basically today, and I'm really repeating this loud enough so that the viewers at home understand what's going on, and the folks sitting in here understand, because we know, because we've been briefed, but I think the listeners should, or the viewers should also have the same understanding. So today what we need to do is carve out what makes sense for us.
Right. And it cannot exceed what the county has authorized. It can be, the maximum will be what the county has authorized or less.
Okay. And that was really my other questions. You had other things in here, but I'll address it when I guess the next group comes up, like the mesh. You mentioned covering windows. I definitely disagree with covering the windows, but my understanding is that there's a mesh. There's an option to have mesh as a...
Just imagine this, though. I mean, what we do is we allow some covering of windows, but they allow any covering of windows with any material. And can you imagine going to work every day and having something over your window every day? If you're a single-use building, meaning you own that whole building, yeah, maybe you have the right to do that. But if you're not, you know, you're going to consistently and persistently be outvoted by either the owners of the building, if you're a tenant in a commercial application, or even if you're residential. And people say, you know what, I want to put a mural up on our entire building. I don't care if the floors 14, 15, 16, 17 don't agree, because you know what, floors 1 through 11 agree, and floors 17 and 18 agrees. So there's going to be a mural. What if it only covers floors 12 through 16?
Mr. Chairman, that was all my questions.
All right, Commissioner Ayala, you're recognized, and then we'll wrap it up.